Thank you very much, Sir Raymond Vickery, for sharing that insight. Now we stay in Asia. Bangladesh's International Crimes Tribunal formally indicted former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and two top officials for their alleged roles in last year's deadly crackdown on student-led protests. The charges include mass murder and crimes committed under superior command responsibility. The tribunal took cognizance of the charges filed by prosecutors and confirmed the start of Hasina's trial in absentia, nearly 10 months after her government was overthrown during widespread unrest. The three-judge bench also issued a fresh arrest warrant against Hasina and her then Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal. The third accused, former Inspector General of Police Chowdhury Abdullah Al-Mamun, is currently in custody and will be tried in person. Prosecutors alleged that Hasina used absolute power to suppress the protests through excessive force, while the two others facilitated and instigated the violence. Chief Prosecutor Muhammad Tajul Islam called for the Awami League to be declared a criminal organization, arguing that the crackdown was executed along party lines. If convicted under Bangladesh's ICT laws, the accused could face the death penalty. In a historic move, the tribunal proceedings were broadcast live for the first time on Bangladeshi television. Security was tightened around the court after 3 crude bombs were thrown at the tribunal gate early today morning. 2 of the devices exploded, while the third was defused. Police are reviewing CCTV footage to identify those responsible. Hasina, who is now 77 years old, was ousted on August 5, 2024 and fled to India amid the unrest. The interim government has formally requested her extradition, but New Delhi has so far only acknowledged the diplomatic note without further comment. A UN human rights report said that around 1,400 people were killed during the crackdown between July 15 and August 15 last year, including students and security personnel. Most senior members of Hasina's administration and party leadership have since been arrested and face similar charges. Now we have guest Shoaib Chowdhury. He's a Bangladeshi journalist. He is joining us live from Dhaka. Thank you, Shoaib, for joining us today. Welcome to NewsX World. What does the opening of this trial signal about Bangladesh's judicial independence, especially with Sheikh Hasina in exile?
Thank you very much, Zuma. As you have mentioned right now, that the trial was put on live broadcast on the National Broadcast Network is unprecedented. It proves that actually the key agenda behind this so-called trial is to demonize Sheikh Hasina and to destroy her image globally. Secondly, as you have mentioned, that United Nations says 1,400 people were killed in protest. Actually, the report didn't say in protest. The report says 1,400 people were killed from July to August 15th, meaning the Sheikh Hasina left the country on 5th of August. So subsequent 10 days, the killings also continued, and targets were the Hindus, religious minorities, members of police, and others. So these are particularly the cases that Yunus regime is trying to suppress. Now about the trial, ICT, if we remember that following the ouster of Sheikh Hasina, Yunus himself declared that they will bring the charge, go to the International Criminal Court in Hague, pressing charges against Sheikh Hasina. And subsequently, Yunus met Karim Khan, the ICC prosecutor. He was chief prosecutor. He was invited to Bangladesh by Yunus, along with some other prosecutors. And suddenly they dropped the idea of going to ICC because they understood that these allegations lack substantial evidences. Now, they are trying Sheikh Hasina in the ICT. What is ICT? ICT is a court run by Yunus and the chief prosecutor and all other senior figures in that court. They either belong to Jamaat Islami or Hizbut Tahrir or other Islamist groups. So this is, if we say this is a mere, this just a kangaroo court. And Yunus knows also that even if this fast trial will convict Sheikh Hasina, they will not get back her extradited from India. The reason is, Azuma, that on 21st of May, the army chief of Bangladesh, General Asaduzzaman, he met Yunus and strictly told him to hold the elections by the 30th of December this year, which Yunus is trying to dodge, skip, because Yunus has no intention of holding election at least for the next 5 years. And Yunus has Jamaat Islami with him in this agenda and some minor parties and non-existing parties. Now, Yunus actually is playing this card, wild cards, I would say, just to create an atmosphere to avoid the election. This is the main reason. Sheikh Hasina's trial, or even handing her death penalty, it is will be just a mere circus tigers. It has no real value or implication. Yunus actually wants to create an anarchy in this country and prolong his stay because, according to Bangladesh Army Chief, Yunus attempted to give the corridor to Arakan Army and sign various controversial agreements against which goes against the interest of Bangladesh sovereignty with some foreign interest. And as we also know that Yunus is a foreign passport holder, 14 members of his so-called advisory council, they all are foreign passport holders. Even the national security advisor appointed by Yunus illegally, he also is a US citizen. So technically Yunus himself is no government. For your kind information, according to the Bangladesh Supreme Court's Appellate Division's reference, Yunus actually is the chief advisor to the president. So the president is the head of the government. Yunus is nothing. Yunus is proclaiming himself to be the head of the government and running these shows, including the trial, as we have heard and you have kindly mentioned. But these are actually all attempts to delay the election to the uncertain period and push Bangladesh towards extreme chaos, and also give the foreign interest the access to Bangladesh so that they can use this land for their proxy wars.
And Shoaib, you have kind of briefly touched upon India. How do you feel about India's refusal to extradite Hasina and does this risk straining Dhaka-Delhi relations?
We know that in the extradition treaty, there is a particular clause that if India thinks that this extradition request has political agendas, then they can always reject. India is not going to extradite Sheikh Hasina. And if you remember, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said categorically that Sheikh Hasina is his sister. India is not going to extradite Sheikh Hasina, and also India has already seen the hostile face of Yunus, who has been consistently conspiring to destabilize India. So to India, Yunus is an element which is posing security threat to India's national security. And considering that India is not going to give any value to any request from Dhaka as far as the extradition is concerned.
And to sum up all what you've said, what impact could the Supreme Court's ruling have on Bangladesh's political landscape?
Azuma, as I mentioned, that the army chief wants election to be held by 30th of December. And he has also strictly told Yunus that he is not going to tolerate mob violence in this country and few other things. Now, Yunus is, in other words, ignoring what the army chief has requested him. In my opinion, that army will be watching the situation, as we know that from the first week of this month, there will be a high holiday in Bangladesh during on account of Eid. So I think after the Eid, Bangladesh Armed Forces Army, General Asaduzzaman, the army chief, they are going to take military action against Yunus, and definitely Yunus will be ousted.
And last but not least, could this moment mark a broader shift towards political pluralism, or is it just a power realignment in disguise in Bangladesh?
As you know, that the army has no option, because Yunus is playing with the sovereignty of Bangladesh, national security of Bangladesh. He is trying to give the land of Bangladesh to foreign nations to begin proxy war. So any army in the world, they cannot tolerate or accept such situation. I can only tell you, Azuma, that Yunus regime is now on the head-on collision with people of Bangladesh, and army is going to save this country and the people by ousting Yunus through the military actions, not coup, because Yunus is an illegal entity, and for removing illegal entity, there is no necessity of any coup. They will remove him, and then army will hold elections. Because please remember that Bangladesh army is repeatedly demanding restoration of democracy and holding election. So Bangladesh army has taken a strong stance in favor of democracy. On the other hand, Yunus has taken a desperate stand against the democracy. So for the sake of democracy, our army will, as I said, this month remove Yunus and then form a caretaker government election time and have them in holding the election. And Bangladesh is going to be relieved from this kind of suffocating situation and return to democracy.
Thank you very much, Chowdhury, for joining us and sharing that insight. Well, that's all we have time